What's going on? Welcome to Wednesday Live. Welcome to Homebuilt Workshop. How's everybody doing? Hope your day's going great. We're here for the hangout. We're here to hang out, talk about shop, talk about all the cool stuff we always talk about, and just hang out with each other. It's always a good time. Always my pleasure to hang out with everyone. And today's no different. Welcome. How's everybody doing today? Let's see here. Got my coffee. It's quite delicious. And let's see, let's go to bring the chat up here. We're getting everything squared away. And look at this. I got no beanie on today. Can you believe it? That's a pretty good sign that the weather's improving. Weather is improving. See if I can bring up our preview here real quick like. No, not that. I don't want maps. Good grief. I don't even know how to run this thing, it seems. Oh, let's see. Sam's here. Sam, what's going on? Francisco's here. Says hi, Sam. Robert says hi to people. Hope everyone's safe and healthy. Yes, we're doing awesome. Harry Dude, what's up? How are we all? What's going on, Harry Dude? Robert says doing good here in Oklahoma. Robert says video and audio is out of sync again. Guess what I changed from last week? Nothing. Well, which way do we need to go? Oh, wait a minute. Am I using a different mic than I used last week? I think I might be. Hold on, let's try something. Okay, so now we're back. Now I'm back at the webcam mic. I forgot about that. Let me know if that's better before I go changing things. And also let me know the difference in sound quality before I start adjusting stuff. Because in my regular videos, I've been using the DJI wireless microphone system, and I've been getting a lot of crackling in there in the audio sometimes, and I've been going through everything step by like individually, one at a time, trying to figure out where that crackling is coming from. I've replaced it's in the source audio, so it's not being introduced after the fact, so it's right as it's being recorded. So I've replaced the cables that connect the microphone to the camera. I've replaced the SD card because I thought maybe the SD card was getting worn out or something, couldn't keep up. I've updated the firmware on camera and microphones, and I'm still getting it. So now I'm trying out a little bit of a different system here. This is a different manufacturer, which I really like, this tiny little form factor thing. I really like, and I used it for like the last video that I recorded, and it seems to be working good. I didn't quite notice the difference, so I don't know if it's just some interference from the DJI or what. But anyway, long story short, I'm using it this time. I've not tried this for the lives, but I also, I don't know. Last week we were using the camera audio. Anyway, let me know, guys. Let me know. Sorry, I was like reading ahead on the comments. Donna's here. Donna says, hey, coffee up. Put some vanilla in mine today. Hey, it's not a bad thing. Cheers. Robert says, sorry, but it is. It's fine, Robert. I want to know if things aren't syncing up. Let me know. I got to know these things so I can't adjust it or work to improve. Harry Dude says, how to deflate Jeff in one sentence? Out of sync. I mean, yeah, but I was feeling good about the sync because I thought we had that figured out. But then I thought that I didn't think that I'd tested this. So that might be part of the problem. Let's see. Sam says, just stick with the same microphone to avoid issues. Time Surfing, what's up? Time Surfing says, all things back to normal. Audio does not match video. I know. I don't know why. How is it right now though? Is it still way out of whack? Because it's literally the same settings that we got to last week. I'm using the webcam mic, and like I gotta know. That's literally set to 0 offset, which is what we determined last week. Seemed to have been working. So if I gotta adjust it, we'll adjust it again. I'm not giving up. Robert says, it works with the built-in mic. The sound is also a little louder. Yeah, I'm noticing on the levels here, it's almost peaking, so it might be a little bit loud. I might have to drop it down a little bit. Patty's here. Patty, what's going on? Patty says, hey, Jeff. Hey, everyone from Poland. Right on. Patty, how's it going? You are all over the map, aren't you? And that is awesome. I love seeing all of the pictures of your travels and all of the amazing scenery. Wow. Definitely you are visiting some cool stuff, and I hope you're doing awesome. Right on. Robert says, had some mocha coffee this morning. Ooh, some mocha coffee. Stepping it up. I feel like today's going to be one of those days where this is gone by the end of the live, because it's so good, and I don't know, it's just hitting the spot today. So anyway, what's everybody up to? What's on your workbench? What kind of projects are you working on? How's your shop going? How's the weather going? How's everything? So what in the world are we working on around here? Well, right now, my shop it's amazingly cleaned up at the moment. Sort of. I'm kind of working on some of that right now. So I finished up last week. I was working on changing out all the fuel lines and stuff, getting my weed trimmer ready to go for the season. I got that all done. And I got the video edited. It is scheduled. That will be out this coming weekend. And then I filmed another video, kind of a talking head kind of video for the following weekend. And really, I'm just taking like the last day or so to get things cleaned up, and also to tackle some stuff around the house, really. I did break out the lawnmower. I had to get that thing ready for the year, because we're that close to really being in full swing for mowing. Had to get the blades sharpened, all that sort of thing. I still got to change the oil on it, but that's not going to be a YouTube video, because I've already done one of those about changing the oil and stuff, but it's just stuff that I had to get done. But right now I'm in the state of getting the shop cleaned up and ready for the next projects. So that's where I'm at. I mean, I am in limbo at the moment between projects, except for, I'm going to get to that in a second. Let's see. Robert said, mocha coffee. Saw that already, Robert. Keith says, I have a Telecaster pine body I would like to route for humbucker pickguard mount. Can you tell me what kind and size bit to use? Thank you, Keith. Right on, Keith. What's going on? Let's see here. So I'm just going to grab a couple things. I'm going to grab a couple things here to kind of show you some different examples in hopes that hopefully I can answer your question a little bit. That's probably not deep enough. You might be able to. So if you didn't already know, of course, there's two different kinds of flush trim bits. But you're going to want a flush trim bit in some sort of, probably a trim router would be the easiest. But anyway, in a router in general, you've got your top bearing bits, or maybe that's bottom bearing bits. But anyway, you've got ones with the bearings on one end and one with the bearing on the other end. Of course, if you're routing it, it's going to be this way. So you're going to want to use one with a bearing like this, but where the bearing is towards the router. Obviously, if you were trying to route a cavity with this one, that's not going to work because the bearing's in the way. But you probably know that already, but just making sure. What I would use, let me see if I can find, so you want to know what kind. Okay, yeah. So you're going to want one with the bearing toward the shank of the bit. Again, I get it mixed up between what is a top bearing and what is a bottom bearing, because in my opinion, if I'm doing it this way, that's on the top. But if it's in a router table, that's on the bottom. So I get them mixed up. So I go with a shank, with a bearing towards the shank, or the bearing at the end of the cutter. I know that's not technically correct, but that's how I keep it straight. You're going to want one with the bearing towards the shank because you're going to be likely using a router in this manner, so you want that bearing down there. Top or bottom, I don't remember. You're probably going to want something like this. I have done it with this bit. This bit is really short. This is only about, I don't know, maybe a 3/8 height on the bit, and it's not quite, it gets challenging. Let me just say, to get deep enough for a pickup route. You can do it, but you can't stick the bit in as far as you technically should in the router. You want one that's a little bit taller. This one, I believe, is a 1/2 inch cutter height. It's straight. This is a spiral, a little bit of a spiral flute. Let me see if I can show you this here. See how the cutters are at a little bit of an angle? They're not completely straight up and down. I like any sort of spiral bit better than a straight bit. Now I have cut quite a few pickup cavities with a straight cutting bit, like with literally the flutes are straight. And they work just fine. If that's what you have, or that's what's easily accessible, then you can do it. But I like a little bit of a spiral. This particular bit is an Amana bit. I cannot read that number. I can't read the number. It's super tiny. But it's it's an Amana. It's a straight cutting or spiral, sorry, flush trim bit. You're going to want something like that. Just a flush trim bit, again, with the bearing towards the shank. I'm not sure if you're looking for like an exact part number or that sort of thing, but this is the style of bit that you're going to want. One like that to cut your pickup cavities. Honestly, you can cut all the cavities with this, really. Again, if you're trying to do like a control cavity, it gets a little tricky with the shorter bits because you've got to have so much depth, you know what I'm saying? So that you can reach down into the cavity. But for pickup cavities, neck pockets, I mean, you can do it with either one of these. This one is a little bit easier. But here's a tip though. Don't just, and I have done this. Don't just start with the outline on there and try to cut all of it away with the bit, right? Because that is really hard on the bit, really easy to heat it up, burn the edges, dull it out really fast, and I've done that. You're better off taking a Forstner bit or some sort of a drill bit and drill away as much of it as you can to remove as much material as you can. That just makes it a lot easier for the router bit. It's less that it has to chew away. Again, I have done that where you just chew it all away and it's really hard on the bits. So try to remove as much as you can first. Back to the comments here. And Keith, if you still have questions or I didn't fully answer it completely, just let me know and we'll jump back to it. So not a problem at all. Mike Johnson's here. Mike says, "Morning, Jeff and all." Mike, what's going on? How are you doing this fine Wednesday? I've got a herd of geese. Geese are in full effect here, and they migrate. We have a pond, and so they just kind of wander around, and they'll sometime in the morning a whole flock of them will come wandering up the driveway, and then later in the afternoon they'll go back the other way, and they're kind of funny, but they just went by. Sam says, "The volume sounds like the regular volume all Americans talk yell at." I can turn it down if it's too loud. I'm not yelling. I don't want to yell at you. But I can see the meters are like, we're up there. We're getting pretty far up there. There, I brought it down just a little bit. I don't know if it probably adjusts for all I know. I take it down and then it adjusts itself back up. Patty says, "It's incredible here. Off to Bohemian Czech Republic and Germany next week. Wow, I'm in my element. Everyone seems to have a small timber mill on their property in the mountains. Oh, that would be awesome. Just to have a mill, you need some lumber. You just go get a couple of trees and you mill it up on your own mill. That sounds incredible. Wow. Well, definitely enjoy your time. I'm glad you could stop in. That's so awesome. That is going to be amazing. I'm going to keep an eye out for your pictures. Robert says, even though you started out with the audio and video out of sync, I still click the like thumbs up button for you. Right on. Robert, thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone else, hit that thumbs up button. Oh, and are we in sync now? Is everything in sync at this exact moment in time in the universe? Mike says, projects for me? Besides the redo of my lawn, I will be installing a bee bender into a Telecaster. I saw that. That looks like quite a project. Not something I have ever quite tackled. But might be kind of cool to build a bee bender. That is awesome. Time Servant's too busy with wife's doctor appointments to get much done. Time Servant says, my yard is a wildlife haven. I prefer birds, bees, and butterflies over trimmed grass. Yeah, I love the wildlife and all that stuff. We don't get a lot of it around here. We really don't. We're kind of, just sort of plains, and it's kind of bare-ish. We don't have like a lot of hills and trees and even a whole lot of greenery, really. This time of year we do because it's springtime. But we do, like I said, since we have a pond, we get geese. Like the geese are crazy. We get a ton of geese, sometimes some ducks and, other cool stuff. But this morning I did see a bunch of deer. Well, if you call 3 a bunch. So like growing up in Pennsylvania, we would see deer all the time. It's just, almost every day you'd spot deer. Out here you don't see too many deer in the area where I live. But every once in a while, a few will just be moving through, and I saw them running across the field. It was kind of neat. But yeah, definitely love the wildlife. Not so much the bees, though. Honeybees I'm okay with, but mainly what I'm battling here are like yellow jackets and hornets and all those nasty things. I hate those. They're terrible. But yeah, now I got the blades sharpened on the lawnmower, I'm gonna have to get to mowing. Oh, probably, I don't know, maybe this weekend I'll do a little bit. But yeah, definitely in the next week or so, it's gonna start. And once it starts, then you gotta kind of stay on it. Thankfully, it doesn't, a lot of areas you gotta mow 2-3 times a week. It seems like. Not here. I'm like maybe twice a month, maybe. Probably not even that much. Maybe like once a month until, I don't know, October. It's just so dry, and we don't get the rain here, so. Anyway, let's see. So what are we going to be working on here? I wish I had some projects in the works at the moment, but it's just a weird spot where everything kind of just fell into place that I got everything done. And I got to get some stuff cleaned up. Just to get prepared for the next builds. And I'm not 100% sure at this exact moment what that's going to be. You kind of gotta hash out a few ideas, see what sort of things I have on hand. What I was going to say earlier was I did go back to my my TrueNAS server that I did a couple weeks ago. Finally got the storage drives for that. I got 3 12 terabyte drives, and I got those installed the other day. Kind of filmed a little bit of that because quite a few people have asked for an update video when I get there. So just kind of some update footage when I start putting that together. I got that all together, got the pools and everything configured for the most part, and I'm right now in the process of setting up all the backups, just kind of getting things configured. But I did start on the updates for that thing, so that'll be coming up. I'm not going to do it super soon because I need some time to just use that. But I did start filming some of the footage for that. I mean, we're probably going to be several months away before I do an update on that, because I can't really update anything if I don't know how to use it yet. I did get the media server running. I've got the backups are working on syncing right now. And we're just kind of getting there, kind of getting into it now that I actually have more of the drive or the drives in there. Let's see. Sempakin's here. Sempakin says, "Good morning, Jeff and folks. Rick, what's going on? Good morning to you. How's everything going?" Robert says, "It's wild when I see a YouTube video when someone wakes up and goes outside and their backyard has a herd of deer, maybe a mama bear and her cubs." That is where I grew up, Robert, actually. 100%. It is not uncommon when you go out in the morning, there's going to be deer eating your trees and browsing in your yard. Bear, not so much bear really in the morning. They tend to come out at night and they want to like knock over your trash cans or, get in your barbecue grill or whatever. But absolutely, that is 100% where I grew up. Not so bad here, unless you might find a goose in your yard, and that's about it. Time Surfing says, "Everything growing in my yard feeds or medicates wildlife and myself. This year, some dove have nested in my backyard." Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, we have a few mourning doves around. I don't know where they nest, but they're always here, and I see them like almost every single day. Sam Packen says, "Been there, Robert." Yes, me too. Me too. Yep, definitely cool. I love it. So anyway, nobody can anybody confirm the audio is synced right now? Let's see. Oh, Patty says, where I'm heading, there are small herds of European bison. There are over 3,000 in Poland alone. I guess with the bison, so the more serious predators too. Oh, they're wolves and bears. And them thar hills, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. European bison. I didn't know that. I didn't know there were bison in Europe. That's super cool. Nice. Okay. Sam Packin says, "All good." Mike says, "Video and audio is great." Time Surfing says, "Looks fine to me." Audio visual. Bam. Right on. Super cool. So I'm not going to worry about using the lapel at the moment. I do want to get that lapel working. I do want to get it working to where I can have the lapel mic on and get everything synced. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not at the moment. Actually, you know what? I think I do know why. Hold on. I think I do. I just want to know for future reference. I'm not gonna spend a bunch of time with this. Oh wait, no, I don't know because it's set at 0. Never mind. I'm not gonna mess with it. I thought I knew offhand a quick way, but anyway. Sam Packin says, "You missed what I was doing." Rick, I'm sorry about that. Oh yeah, I did. It's right there. It says, "Can't wait to get back to the shop. Been doing yard work, building another large garden planter area." Nice. Right on. Yeah, sorry, Rick. Didn't mean to skip over that. Right on. Yes. That's something I keep thinking about, building a garden planter. I think I've talked about that before, though. I love having like a garden or just some vegetable beds or something like that. Where you can grow some peppers, a few tomatoes, that sort of thing. And that's something that I would love to do. However, where I live, it is so dry. Like this time of year, it wouldn't be as big a deal, except for another reason, and that's our spring storms often have hail. So I'm sure you can imagine if you, unless you had a garden covered with some sort of a screen, it's going to get beat to death with hail. And then once you get past the storm season, we don't get enough rain, and you literally have to water at least twice a day. It seems like you have to water morning and night in order to keep everything from just completely drying out. And it is really, really hard to manage. We've done it several times, and if you don't water all the time, it's crazy. But I definitely miss having a garden and growing vegetables and that sort of thing. It's just, It's not impossible, but it's almost impossible, especially if you plan on like doing anything over the summer. Like even if you go, I don't know, camping for a few days or you go out of town for a week, it's next to impossible to keep your plants alive. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough here. Um, Rick says, haha, no worries. Right on, right on. He says, my wife says that there's never enough room for flowers. Well, there you go. You're going to make room and she'll be happy. That's a good thing. Patty says, sound is good. I'm guessing because of Central Europe's recent history, it's so noticeable how wild the uplands and forests are and lack of people. That's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Yeah. Very cool. Robert says Matthew Peach showed the build of a combination bench and planter on his YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen that. Yeah, I don't know. Every time I think about doing a planter of some sort, we have a little flower planter, but that's not cool. That's not so bad. It's more like the vegetables, like a garden planter. So hard to keep everything alive, and so we just decided not to do it as much as I want to, because it makes it to where, you're kind of stuck. Like you can't, like if you're going to go away on a vacation or something in the summer, you can't just come back to, overgrown with weeds. Like you'll come back to it being dead. Sent back and says, happy wife. Yes. You're on the right track. Time Surfing says, that's why I scoured the woods to find native species that are adapted to our particular growing conditions. Yes. You make an excellent point. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of native stuff here that really grows well. The only thing I've really been able to find in our fairly barren landscape are like little wild onions or like wild chives or something. And those things seem to keep growing really well. Robert says maybe put in some type of automatic watering system. Yes. Now, if you had some sort of automatic system, you totally could. You could, absolutely. I don't have any of that sort of automated stuff. But yeah, if you assembled something, in fact, that would probably be a pretty fun project. Putting together an automated, watering system, like a project video. It's on a timer. Maybe it runs off a solar panel in a car battery kind of thing, and it's connected to, I don't know, connected to your water, and it automatically, yeah, that would be kind of cool actually. Sam Packins says, couldn't you put your water supply in an inline timer? Yeah, same kind of idea. And you could, yes. Yes. It would be more of a, like, I don't have any in-ground type of sprinkler system or anything like that I could tie into. It would literally have to be one of those timers that you screw onto your outdoor hose faucet, and then you connect your hoses to that. It'd have to be something like that, or some sort of, I don't know exactly. Some sort of automatic system. But yeah, I mean, it could be done. It could be done. Is it super convenient? No, but I guess it depends on how bad you want to do it, right? How bad you want to grow stuff. Yeah, you totally could. On the timer type of thing. There goes the geese back the other way. All right. Let's see. So I know Rick is working on landscaping and building garden beds, and Mike's also doing some yard work stuff. What other kinds of projects is everybody working on? Mike's also doing the guitar. I got to get back on a guitar project of some sort. I got that cigar box. I keep saying I need to build that out. And maybe I should start on that here before long. I'm gonna have to do an inventory and see what I have for parts and pieces, and then see if I have stuff to build that. That might be something that we do. I haven't done a guitar. It's been a little bit on a guitar build. Rick says, got a guitar build going. Need to redo a pig guard. Right on. Yeah. See, I got to get something going for that. I'm thinking a 3-string cigar box. I might have stuff for that. I don't know if I have a bridge, but we can come up with something. Maybe we just make everything. Robert says, I've seen some people just use jugs with a long pipe, fill the jugs, push the jugs into the ground close to the edge of the plant. I've seen something like that too. Yeah. Yep. But still, it still requires, at least some form of human interaction fairly regularly, I would say. I mean, I don't know how long the jug lasts. I guess it depends on how big the jug is. But my thing is a lot of time, like if we go out of town, it's usually during the summer. And that's when I need to be here to tend to this stuff the most. Mike says, the bee bender would be my third build. The third bee bender? That's cool. Do you have your own bee bender? Or is it for somebody? Bee bender's so cool. What a concept. Like, who in the world came up with that? Like, it's pretty cool. I guess I am sort of working on some stuff. I'm working on, I can't really show you because everything's full of wrenches. But last week, my friend Jim was on here and we were I'd mentioned that we're working on a project together. We're working on making some wrench organizers. Like, I can't really show you a whole lot because it's all full of wrenches. But we've been working on designing some wrench organizers that I'm gonna probably do a video on those at some point. Kind of a cool idea, just to help organize some tools. And I only thought of that. I know it's changed the subject because I was talking bee bender, but I just happened to look at the squirrel. Time Servant says, the only problem with water that comes from the community or city water, yes, is chlorine and other additives. It says, I harvest as much rainwater as I can. True. One good thing about where we live is we're on a well, so I don't have to worry about that. We're not on city water. Heritage says, still sorting out the workshop after the move. Got dust collection pretty much sorted with a ducted house vac I found on Marketplace. Still unpacking and stacking. Right on, Harry Dude. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I meant to ask last week to see where you were at on the move. And it sounds like you got everything moved in, which is awesome. Step back and says, what's a bee bender? Okay, Rick. Bee bender is a super wild invention that somebody came up with. I don't even know when, honestly. But like a pedal steel, right? So if you're playing the pedal steel, it's got the pedals that you run with your knees and with your feet to like change the pitch of certain strings for all those cool pedal steel sounds. Somebody along the way found a way to build that into an electric guitar. So basically there's a contraption that gets routed into the back of the guitar and it gets connected to the top strap button. In most cases anyway, the top strap button, and then it runs through like some linkages that go to a mechanism down on the bridge. So you can be playing along doing your kind of pedal steel type licks, and when you want to bend the note, I don't remember which string it's on. The B bender. So it's on the B string. Yes, I totally just spaced that out. But it's connected. It's got its mechanism connected to the B string. So when you're doing your little licks, when you want to bend that B string, you basically pull down on the neck, and it literally moves the strap button, inside the thing, and bends the note up, and maybe down too. Will it go down? I don't know if it does. I think it's just up, but it's super wild, and it sounds so cool. Of course, I've always loved the sound of a pedal steel. I wish I could play that sort of thing, but Bee Bender basically has found a way to incorporate some of that. Now it's only, as far as I'm concerned, on the B string, in most cases, but it is wild. It's really cool. Let's see here. So Rick, I hope that answers your question. Patty says, I've grown tomatoes outside in planters, and I've used a gravity flow setup. Using a 100 stillage that I used to put. I gotcha. I put in racking 100. Yep. But that involved using pallet forks and the tractor to put in place. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Oh, that would work. Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of ways around it. It's just a matter of how in depth I want to go. Mike says the first I built for a friend, artist. The second was for me, and another for a musician friend. Nice. That's awesome. I should build one of these days. Maybe even, just like on a stock kind of body. I don't know. It would be kind of cool. Robert says, would also depend on what type of soil you have. If it's sandy, I would think the jug would empty fairly quick. If more dense, it would be slower. There you go, Robert. That's a point that I did not mention earlier. Our soil is super sandy and frankly terrible. our soil is absolutely horrible for growing stuff. And when I have had stuff in the past, I literally go to like the garden center and buy like all the kinds of topsoil and stuff and try to amend it as much as possible. But it's still sand. Patty says 1,000-liter, rain harvested from the barn roof. Yes, I got you. So you got the 1,000-liter the 1,000-liter thing, all coming off the barn roof. Waters the plants. That would be cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. Kizzy's here. Kizzy, what's going on? Good morning. Cheers. How are you doing this fine Wednesday? Right on. Mike says bends from a B to a C sharp. Yeah, so it's a, oh wow. So a whole step. Step and a half. No, B to C's half. Yeah, a whole step. Rick says, thanks for the explanation. I can relate, Harry dude. Recently moved and built my shop. Right on. Sam, super chat, Sam, right on. Says towards the coffee or G-string, so you can pay the guitar. It's just British humor, nothing suspicious. I don't know, sounds pretty suspicious to me, Sam. Right on. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll go with coffee, I guess, for now. I don't know. Right on. Thank you. Harry says, lost a lot of storage space in the move. Had to hire a storage unit for the overflow. Oh no. Well, that kind of stinks. It's an extra thing you got to pay for, but as long as you got it sorted out. Time Surfing says, start you a compost pile. All your yard debris and scrap veggies. Yes, that's a good idea too. I usually any yard debris. I don't even rake yard debris. I just leave it in the yard to like become yard compost or whatever you call it. But yeah, that's a good idea. Drizzy Guitars, what's up? Good morning. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? What are you working on today? Anything in particular? Inquiring minds want to know. Let's see. Patty says, sorry, for some reason, YouTube Live messes with the vocabulary and predictive text on my end. Won't let me scan it before sending. That's fine. No worries. It's all good. No reason to apologize. Whoa, what happened here? I don't know. That's some sort of pop-up thing. Still kind of working out this laptop here. I've got weird stuff that happens from time to time as I kind of working on understanding it. Kizzy says, I love British humor. Have to be careful or my algorithm will be nothing but. Isn't it funny how those algorithms work? Like, you can't look at anything, otherwise it's going to completely flood your your feed with whatever the thing is. So you can't click on anything. You just have to scroll past. Robert says, sounds like maybe your best option, if you wanted to have some garden stuff, would be using a raised planter with modified soil type. You could put a below ground drip system. Yeah, something like that. Like I said, we do have a little planter box for like some little flowers and stuff. And I've done that before for things like lettuce and stuff. I love growing lettuce. I don't know why. Like, I just love going out, picking a bunch of lettuce for like a super fresh salad. One year, lettuce growing story, right? One year I built a couple of raised boxes. They were probably I don't know, 3 foot by 12 inches wide kind of thing, 10 inches tall. I don't remember. They weren't super giant, but just something that I wanted to set out on the porch. And I put lettuce in both of them, I believe it was. And it had started coming up and it was doing really good. And I was getting excited, watering it every day and making sure everything's doing really good. Well, one day after it started getting sort of tall, it wasn't, super grown yet, but it was starting to get up there. And I come out the next day and all of it was down to nubs. The rabbits found it. The darn things came up on the porch, ate all my lettuce, and didn't even pay for their meal. I haven't grown lettuce really since. But yeah, raised beds and like a rabbit fence. Sam Packin says bunny rabbits are tasty. Some Hassenpfeffer. Mike says the bee bender was invented in 1968 by Clarence White and Gene Parsons, both members of the bands Nashville West and the Byrds. Oh, the Byrds! Marty Stewart owns the original. Check that out on YouTube. Ooh, Marty Stewart, yeah. Super cool. I'm going to have to look that up. Rick says meat and veggies in one place. True, I never thought about that. Never thought about that. I'll be darned. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. Every spring, every time things start to grow and somebody mentions, gardens and stuff, that's when I'm like, man, I really would like to, but then I think about, I got to do a watering system and a lot of stuff. I don't know. I just haven't done it yet. Let's see here. Kizzy asks, do you know much about axial fans? I need one that I can use in a wood treatment kiln, but reviews are all over the place and specs are broad. Axial fans. Are those the ones? I look around like I have a fan in here for an example. I don't know why I do that. Axial fans. Are those the ones that are tall and skinny and it rotates this way like a squirrel cage? Is that what you're talking about? Instead of like a normal, like a box fan kind of thing? And are you looking for something or that is not a household kind of thing? Because if you're talking about those tall, skinny ones with the giant squirrel cage in there that goes around, I have one in the house, if that's what you're talking about. But also, if you're talking about a squirrel cage, I have a different one in my wood filter. Oh, okay, because he says the cooling fans in the back of a computer tower. That's axial? Interesting. I never thought about it as being called axial. How many do you need? Like how? Because I mean they're little, right? You're looking for like a bunch of little ones or one little one or what exactly? I need a little more information, and I will try to answer as best as possible. Let's see. Rick says we used to be able to buy rabbit at the local grocery store. Interesting. Tony's here. Tony says morning sunshine. Well, good morning, Tony. How are you doing this fine Wednesday morning? It's on your workbench. Cheers to you. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Right there. Let's see. Robert says if your pond has fish in it and you have too many geese visiting, they can kill all the fish because they poop in the water and adds too much nitrogen in the water. Oh, I almost choked. We do have fish, and it doesn't seem like right now we probably have 15 geese that are here, maybe 20. I don't know. I don't always see them together, but there's a fair number. I haven't noticed anything hurting the fish. The fish in there, I would be totally fine if a few of them went away anyway. They're nasty things. Most of them are carp. A lot of them are carp anyway. There's something else in there too. But the carp are always keeping the water stirred up. And I'd be totally fine if they if they went away. So if anyone needs some carp, let me know. But yeah, I haven't seen any issue with the geese affecting the water. But yeah, that's interesting. Not something I'd ever thought about. Time Servant says if you feed your animals store-bought feed, do not use manure on your garden. Store feed, they're additives that will not help your garden. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Kizzy says I need 2 of them. Weather resistant with metal blades. The kiln will have to reach 140 Fahrenheit. Okay, so you're needing something more than a computer fan, because as soon as you said computer fan, my brain instantly went to computer fans. So you need an all metal one. And I almost think a computer fan would handle that, but it's got to be all metal. Oof. I think right off the top of my head, I don't have any great input on that whole thing. I would almost think that you might not need anything super fancy. But how big though? Like computer fan, like an 80, 90, 120 millimeter? Or is it totally something different than a computer fan? Oops, I just made the thing. I just turned it on. That's all right. Are you needing it as a vent? Like in the wall kind of thing? Then you might not. I can't get computer fan out of my head now. You're probably looking for something in the wall, huh? Or just to circulate air inside. Man, that's another thing I want to build. I want to build a kiln. I'm thinking. Let me ponder that a little bit. Robert says, I think it would take probably hundreds. Yeah, we don't have hundreds. The most I've ever counted here are probably 60 to 80 at once. And 80 is like the high end of those numbers is only when they're getting ready to fly off for the year, as they start to kind of gather up. Right now, we just have our normal spring batch that's here. Seems like we get quite a bunch early on as they, whatever ones migrate back from where they were. But when they get ready to fly wherever they're flying, we seem to get a lot more. Late summer, fall, whatever it is. Sam says perhaps set Nightbot as an auto mod. You can program messages to be automatically posted by Nightbot. I have not even heard of Nightbot. I'll have to think about that. What does it do? Tell me more, Sam. Teach me. Kizzy says large servers use them, and they can withstand 200 Fahrenheit. Some computer tower fans withstand the same. Okay. I would have to do some research, honestly. I don't have a great suggestion. I know if it's literally like a computer type fan, there are some, more popular names that I would trust. But for your application, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure. Mike says, need to cool your head. Fan and the beanie. Oh, it's not a bad idea. Put a solar fan. So I just got a new hat, right? So like when I'm outside in the summer, or basically any sun, spring, summer, fall, I gotta wear a hat, obviously, because my head will burn in an instant. And I've been wearing kind of like not a canvas. Canvas would probably be even better, but just like cotton, kind of a wide brimmed, I don't even know what you call them. It's not like a boonie hat, but it's sort of like a boonie hat. And we always have a breeze, and the thing always blows down in front of my face, and it's so annoying. So just yesterday, I picked up a straw hat. That's like a Western style straw hat, and I think it's going to work super good. But you could put a fan on top of that. It'd be kind of cool. But anyway, I got to get used to that because it's totally. I'm not used to wearing that style of hat. Super comfortable, and I think it's going to work awesome. I just got to get used to it. Like it's just not normal to me, just because I don't. Yeah, Mike says squirrel. Yeah, squirrel. But see, I like that. I like being able to go off on a tangent. Let's see. Sam says Nightbot is a chatbot for YouTube live chat that automates moderation, allows for interactive features, and enhances viewer engagement. Really? I've not heard of it. I'm gonna have to, like, does it work good? Or does it seem kind of like cheesy? I've seen some of those AI type assistant thingies that seem a little weird to me, but maybe that's not what it is. I'll have to research a little bit more. Time Servant says, sounds like you need a fan used in chicken houses. See, that's kind of what I was thinking. Not necessarily chicken house, but like a ventilation type of fan. I just don't fully understand what it's going to be used for yet. Answers viewer engagement. Yeah, I got to think about that, Sam. I keep going back to your comment. I'll have to investigate that. I got to do research on that too. I am one that needs to research everything. Let's see. Kizzy says, so keep thinking computer tower fans. I need it to circulate heat coming off of a heat lamp for even heat treatment. Okay. I would honestly probably just go with computer fans. I would try it. They're not that expensive. And I guess if it burns up after a while, I don't mean literally burns, but you know what I mean. If it quits working, you know, then maybe look at something different. I would probably look at some, 120. I think you can even get bigger ones, like some 200 millimeter fans. They run off of like 5 volts or something like that. It doesn't take hardly anything to run them. Like I said, they're not that expensive. You could even get a temperature controller that you could use that would turn them on and off, or maybe change the speed. Or you could change the speed. That's probably what I would think about. But Harry Dude just does have a good point. I may retract that. Harry Dude says, I wouldn't trust computer fans. Plastic will distort and go out of shape and not run properly. That is possible, Harry Dude. That's a good point. They're talking 200, possibly 140 Fahrenheit. How hot's it get in a computer, though? Some of them get pretty toasty. I'm going to have to check. I need the only reason that fans are sort of on my brain at the moment is because I feel like I may have to add one to the server. I've kind of been monitoring the temperatures inside of that. I may need to add a fan at the front. And I'm thinking that, so I've been sort of looking at different ones. But I don't know. It might work, Harry Dude. I don't know. Again, I don't know how hot it gets in a computer. So I know I skipped over a couple comments. I'm going back. Let's see. Francisco's here. Francisco says, Buenos dias. Buenos dias, amigo. How are you doing this morning? Right on. Robert says, yeah, if I try wearing just a ball type cap outside the tops of my ears with sunburn, yes. Started using wide brim hat. Yes, that's exactly it. Back in the day, I used to wear a regular hat all the time, but I had hair, right? So hair would sort of cover, your ears, and and then I didn't. So now I need, I can't even hardly think about being outside in the sun, and my head burns. So I started, going with different hats, but I cannot stand, you're like mowing the grass or whatever, and a breeze blows the thing in front of your face, the brim. It's so annoying. Sam says, works well. Yes, many channels I help moderate use it too. I will look into it. Sam says, Nightbot also automatically handles chat messages, manage spam, and run interactive features like giveaways. I'll look into it, Sam. And Harry Dude's comment about the fans, yeah, maybe so. Time Surfing says, hair dryer? Use mine. Kizzy says, Harry Dude, that's what I'm looking for, one with metal blades. Okay, so Kizzy, because now it's the curiosity is getting the best of me. Okay, so bear with me for a moment. I'm going to look that up right here while we're live, because I am curious. I'm going to plug this thing back in. I'm going to see what we get. We're doing this live. Waterproof metal blade fans. Okay, so there's 120 millimeter. This is just on Amazon. 120 millimeter IP55 waterproof metal blade fans. Oh, it runs on 115 or regular AC 110 for DIY cooling, ventilation, and exhaust. Metal blades, metal frame, axial flow fan. Temperature range 50, whoa, minus 50 Celsius to 95 Celsius. 95 Celsius? How hot is that? That's got to be 200 degrees. 50 Celsius is 120. That sounds like it's well within rating. Life expectancy 60,000 hours. It's $30. 2-pin. It's a regular wall outlet connector. Yeah, something like that might work. It's $30. Waterproof, metal blades, metal housing, 120 millimeters. So right. So what is that? What does that convert to? I don't know. 5 inches roughly, 4.75 square. I don't know how many of them you need. If you need like a ton of them, that might be expensive. But if you need only a couple, it might not be that bad. I don't know. But that's just the first thing that I found after just a quick search. And there was the rating looked decent too. I didn't read any of the reviews, but the star rating. Like I said, let's see. I lost where I was at. Sunpackin says, okay, Jeff, folks, have to head out, get back to the work on the garden planter. Also added 4x12 planter box, so lots to do yet. Celebrate your day, everyone. Rick, right on. I'm excited for your garden. I hope you're excited for it as well. I don't know why I'm excited for it, but I am. I just get excited about that sort of stuff. It's spring. I just get excited. I really do this time of year as everything finally starts to come back to life. I finally don't have to wear a beanie for a few months, and I just like this time of year. Let's see. Kizzy says, every time I see one that seems like it'll work, Amazon has the frequently returned item label on it. True. Let me look at that. I don't see a frequently returned item. I have seen that before. You know how they do the AI customer, like the wrap up of all the comments? It says customers find the fan works well, with one mentioning its effectiveness even in wet conditions and appreciate its powerful airflow that pulls enough air for their needs. They describe it as well-built and not overly noisy. Airflow and waterproof features received mixed feedback. While some say it moves a lot of air and waterproof, others report it is not waterproof and rusted. Somebody's just mad. I don't know. I take those with a grain of salt, but I do read them. It's tough. It's tough. Any sort of online review type things are challenging. Robert says, I had one computer case that had a side fan that I think was maybe 240. It wasn't too loud. Yeah, my desktop PC has a provision on the top, I think, for a 240. It's giant, like a big old giant fan. I don't have a fan in there because I don't need it, but yeah. Time Servant says, I see some hats on Amazon with built-in fans. That'd be funny. See what would happen to me, right? If I had actually had a hat with a fan in the top, like that would be great for blowing some air on the top of your head, but the sun would shine through that and I'd have a burn right on the top of my head. Sam says, I'm watching this awesome stream and I'm double moderating. Kizzy says, you're the best. What did you look up to find that? I just need 2. Hair Dude says 95 Celsius is almost water boiling. 100 degree. Huh? What? Oh, 212. 212 here. Well, not right where I live, but in general, 212. So 95. Oh, I got you. Okay. So 100 degrees is for you is water boiling temperature. So that's 212 here. So we're just a little bit below that. You're 5 degrees below that. So what is that? About 10. It's another 5. Yeah, so it's about that 200 degree mark. Time surfing. Time surfing says for your viewers' eye health, wear a beanie. I need like one of those little powder makeup things to take the shine off my head. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, Kizzy. Let me see if I can do this. I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm gonna try. Gonna try. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna try to. I don't know if it'll let me post a link or not. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to post you that link. Oh man, now I want to. Now it wants to give me the thing, and you can't log into anything now without getting a password. Isn't that annoying? I don't know why. I don't know why it bugs me. All right, I don't know if this will let me post this link, but I'm sure gonna try it. There you go. Hopefully that works. That is the one that I found. But I just searched. I just searched. Where'd it go? Metal blade axial PC fan. That is the exact words that I typed in. So if that helps you locate anything, I hope. Let's see. Mike says side-mounted fans on your hat next to the beers. I wear a stormtrooper helmet. Yeah, you remember those those beer hats with the straw? Okay. Oh, Kizzy said they found it. Thank you. Just opened a world of recommendations. Oh, right on. There you go. Well, then disregard the link. Time Servant says solar panel for a love machine is what my dad called his bald head. Oh, I had to read ahead. I wasn't sure where you were going with that comment. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Sounds like something my uncle would have said. My uncle always had a bald head. Except in the summertime, he would actually wear a beanie at times. I don't know how he did it, but he'd have like a knit, regular beanie on, stocking cap kind of thing. I don't know how he didn't roast, but maybe he did, but he just wore it anyway. That's funny. Yeah, so I gotta get used to wearing this new hat and see how it works out. But Kizzy, anyway, I hope that helps you. Whether the even if you don't use that link, it's fine. But I hope you're able to find what you need. It sounds cool. Sounds cool. So are you building? Tell us more about the kiln. Is it something you're putting together, or is it something you're fixing up? What's the scoop? We wanna know details. Because I have thought about a kiln as well. I always thought that it would be kind of cool to build a kiln inside like an enclosed trailer, right? So then it's not fixed in one spot. You could move it around wherever it needs to be. I always thought that'd be kind of neat, 10-foot enclosed trailer, maybe 12. I don't know how long you may or may not need, but I always thought that'd be neat. Robert says you might also try using wood kiln fan for the type of search. Yeah, true. Kizzy says definitely. Thank you so much. I'm building it for reclaimed lumber to make sure there's no wood boring bugs. Yeah, that's awesome. That is super cool. Mike says sounds like the squirrel is stuck in the fan, spinning around. Poor squirrel. That's something that we don't have here, except for like sometimes one a year in the fall. I don't know where he's coming from or where he's going, but we get one that'll stop by for a day or two. He'll hang out in the we have a pinyon pine tree, and he'll hang out in that pinyon tree and eat some of the little pinyon nuts, and then a couple days later he's out of here. Or Mike, are you talking about, like, can you actually hear the fan running? Because the fan on the laptop did just ramp up. I mean, can you hear that? If you can, I got to get the lapel figured out. I didn't even think about that. Maybe is that what you're talking about? Because I can hear it. It just wrapped up. A time servant says squirrels are like mice. If you see one, there are more. Yeah, but that's the thing. I never see more. I never do. I believe the same, but I never see more than one. We had one last fall. He was kind of cool. He hung out for 2 or 3, 4 days, and then he was gone. And that's all I've ever seen at once. It's literally like he's migrating from somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if he's like a young one from the neighborhood across the way, and he's out on his own. Mike says no, just joking. Oh, okay. Well, but I wasn't thinking about. I thought about that though, because the fan on the laptop did ramp up, and I can't hear it, and I didn't know if maybe that's what you were talking about. I'm with you. We're good. We're good. Changing topic. Squirrel. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway. Yeah, so I got to figure out what we're gonna tackle next. I got a little bit more shop cleaning up to do. It's a little bit of organizing, cleaning things out. I've got a little bit of a project on the CNC that I got to tackle. Last November. So in case you're not familiar, my CNC is a Onefinity CNC, and last November, like Black Friday, they released spindle kits for it instead of having to use a router. Well, I had picked up a spindle kit at Black Friday, and it was basically just released, brand new kind of thing. So it was, it said shipping beginning of 25, kind of one of those deals, right? Kind of a pre-sale. Well, I bought one on a pre-sale. Well, I finally got it in 2 weeks ago, something like that, and it's just been sitting in a box, maybe 3 weeks ago. I need to install that. I was thinking about doing a video on installing that spindle on my CNC. I don't know what it's going to be involved. I don't think it's going to be all that hard. It's really kind of just a plug-and-play system. I might do a video on that because I haven't even opened the box yet because I was thinking about doing a video, so I might do that. And that actually would be part of my shop cleanup stuff. But yeah, just trying to work out what we're going to tackle next. It's hard to believe that next week is my daughter's last week of school for this year. I think next Thursday is the last day. So we're going to be basically into summer break. It doesn't even feel like it yet. So I am trying to be diligent in my planning, because, since we'll be hanging out during the week over the summer, I got to make sure that I plan ahead and try to have things planned out, because it's a little bit harder to get free time. And that's not a complaint. It's just a fact. It's just harder to, to try to get some shop time. So I got to be super diligent in my use of time. So I'm kind of in that mode right now where I'm thinking, okay, I want to do this project, I want to do this project, and make sure I plan ahead. But if there's something you guys want to see, something you want to see me work on, something you want to see me build, let me know. I'm open to pretty much all suggestions. And you just never know. I do have quite a while back, I got some Farrier's rasps that our Farrier gave me, some worn out ones. I've been thinking of, about making maybe some knives or something. There's just so many things I want to do. I'm always open to suggestions though too. But that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of in that a little bit of a limbo right now, as I'm just wrapped up some projects and I got to get into the next projects. Robert says, as well as drying his lumber. Oh, did I miss something? Show wood fans for the type of search. I don't know if I missed a comment or something, Robert. Mike says, I would like more of your earlier process in neck builds without CNC. Okay, we can do that. Like I said, I've got to do a cigar box guitar build. Do you think that would cover some of the stuff that you're wanting to know? Because I'm not going to do that on CNC. I don't believe I could, but I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, but that kind of stuff, right? Is that's the kind of stuff that I want to, like, if there's something that you guys want to see, that's the stuff that I want to try to make and help you out with. Yeah, this, because my process for building a cigar box neck is really no different than building a regular neck. The only difference is I don't have, truss rod channels and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, if that will cover, if you think that will help you, that is something that I definitely have coming up. I do like the CNC process, but I know that it's different, and everybody has a CNC, and I totally get it. And I just. Mike says maybe a recap of real necks and jigs used. Real necks? Are you saying that a cigar box isn't a real neck? Patty says, have you any vehicle mechanicking in the wings? There's a couple things that I need to do, but nothing super big. What sort of, is there anything in particular you're looking at, or it's just you just kind of like that sort of stuff? I've got I got I got to change the oil on the tractor, not the lawnmower, the tractor. I mean, there's a few repairs I need to do on that, but nothing super big. Trying to think. I've got an issue on the tractor, and I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. I don't know why, I don't know when this started, but the 3-point hitch arms, Patty, will not drop. I don't know why. I've checked valves, I've checked, everything, all the levers, everything seems to work, but the 3-point hitch arms will not drop. It's literally like they're stuck. There's an unloader valve, if you're familiar, and in our particular tractor, it's under the seat, so I have to take the seat off. And if I unbolt this unloader valve and take it out of there, the 3-point arms will drop like a rock, which tells me there's something wrong with the unloader valve. At least it seems as though. But I look at the parts diagram for the unloader valve, and everything looks in order. All the passages I've taken it apart, I've cleaned everything out. Passages are clear, and everything seems fine. But it still doesn't work. I don't understand. It's really kind of strange. So if I knew what it was to fix, I would make a video on that. Oh, why did the thing just blink red at me? I don't know what that means. But yeah, that's the only other thing I can think of. Rick says, hey Jeff, how the heck you doing, Rick? What's going on? Rick says hi to chat. Nice. Right on. Rick, how are you doing? Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Patty says, no, it's how I found your channel in the first place. I think you did a gearbox on a Chevy or something. What did I? Yeah, I did. I don't remember what that was, but yes. I love doing those videos. All those different, car maintenance things and stuff like that. And it's not something I get to do as often as I want. I would love to do more of those. So if there's stuff, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, there's things like that you'd like to see. So knowing that, I will definitely keep an eye out and try to work those things in there. A lot of times, even if it's just a small little replacement of a sensor or something, I like to do a video on it, because if I have that issue, there's a really good chance that somebody else has the same sort of issue. You know what I'm saying? So definitely, I will keep that in mind. And when something comes up, I need to change. I got to change a bunch of oil. I got to change it in the tractor. I got to change it probably in both of our vehicles. I got to change it in the lawnmower. Maybe we should do a oil change marathon. That actually might be a fun video. not as so much as like a how-to type of thing, but just kind of a fun, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, Patty, I will keep that in mind and try to work in some stuff if I can think of them. Mike says, take care all, got to go. Right on, Mike. Have an awesome one. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck with that B-bender. Keep us in the loop. I'll be waiting. Rick says, I'm good. Right on. Patty says that, yeah, sometimes it's a flow issue with the link arms. Yeah, this is the weirdest thing, right? It's like, once I check that all of the levers and everything are operating, you know, the spool valves and stuff, I started looking deeper into that, and everybody says, oh yeah, the unloader valve stuck. The unloader valve stuck. I take the unloader valve out, and like I said, the arms dropped like a rock, and which made me think, yeah, okay, they're right. The unloader valve's stuck. But I can't find anything wrong with it. That's what's weird. It's just so strange. Rick says, I'm repairing a headstock. Right on. Rick says, I'd like a 5-string bass. If you can see the one that I built. Right on. As you can see the. Nice. Are you saying, Rick, I don't know if I misinterpreted. Are you saying you want to see me build a 5-string, or you're building a 5-string? I'm not sure. Patty says, cool. Have a good week, everyone. Right on, Patty. Enjoy your travels and your time and all of that stuff. Right on. Thanks for stopping by. That's awesome. Super cool. Right on. Cool. Well, guys, we have about come to the end. It's about time to wrap this up. I got to finish doing this shop cleanup and kind of get things back in order and get started on the next projects and to what that's going to be. Sam says, maybe try more UKT. You'll eventually get used to it, like other drinks. Sam, you know what? I try occasionally all kinds of different teas. So we were just talking about that at dinner a couple nights ago, how I will, I always try tea. And I don't ever like it, but I keep trying in hopes that I will like it. So yes, maybe I will do my best to try to stick with it. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream today, Jeff. Harry Dude says, cheers, folks. Catch you all next week. Stay well. Right on, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here at Homebuilt Workshop. So yeah, I got to finish getting things cleaned up and getting back to work. Time Servant says, all I drink is tea, sweet and cold. Right on. Robert says, have a good one, everybody. Stay safe and healthy. Nice. Sam says, UK tea with milk and sugar. Yep, I know there's all kinds of different ones. I've tried, I think I can say I've tried all of them now, and everybody says it's an acquired taste. And they say that with coffee too, but honestly, I don't remember acquiring that. I don't remember that, but maybe so. Anyway, Drizzy Guitar says, cheers. Rick says, have a good one. Right on, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in here at Homebuilt Workshop in the Wednesday Live. You guys all have an awesome week. Everybody stay safe, stay well. I hope you get some time to get out in your shops and build some stuff. Build some cool projects, and yeah, be safe, enjoy the weather, and yeah, we'll catch you all next time. Right on. Thanks, everybody. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already, and we'll see you all next week. Stay tuned for the weed trimmer fuel line video coming out this weekend. Right on, everyone. Take care. We'll see you next time. Later, everybody. Thank you.